Howdy folks, today we are looking at the Blackmagic Design PYXIS 12K cinema camera. The question I want to ask is essentially, why is this so cheap? It's a full frame camera with 12K resolution, crazy frame rates and different resolution options, loads of modular ways that you can build this guy out. And let's jump in and see if this is potentially going to work for the kind of filming that you guys might do.
No matter what camera you're shooting with, check out my brand new course, Intimate Home Portraits. It features 5 models and shows you how to create sensual, professional images in everyday spaces like your own home or a hotel room. I've spent over 15 years working with models, teaching thousands of photographers and shooting in every environment imaginable. This course brings all of that together. Here we have no studio, no big budget, just real connection, posing direction, lighting and angles to deliver creative results. Check it out, full details are below.
So let's run through each of the points on this guy, first looking at all of its strengths. One of the major strengths has to be this incredible sensor. We're talking about a full frame 12K camera with 16 stops of dynamic range for $5,500. I really just don't get it. With that kind of resolution, you're going to have huge cropping capabilities, whether you're shooting at 4K or even 8K final output. You can crop way down from a 12K file. Of course, 16 stops of dynamic range means you can also get really complex shots with incredibly bright highlights and almost black shadows and recover them, whether you're shooting, say, festival nightlife and lanterns, that kind of thing, or you're shooting a dancer in studio under studio spotlights or with hard backlighting. You can recover so much detail off a sensor like this, which you really can't off a lesser sensor. Now, frame rates and resolution, of course, they offer this guy in a 6K and a 12K option, so being 12K is kind of the headline here. But don't get sucked into thinking that's all it can do, because the frame rates are super flexible on this guy. At 12K, it can already do 60 frames a second, but as you stop down the resolutions, you get even further frame rates open up. At 8K, you can get 72. At 4K and 5K, you can get well over 100. So it's a really versatile solution depending on whether you're shooting for a 4K, 8K or 12K timeline. All of them will allow you to slow down your footage and get some degree of slow-mo. Now, Blackmagic are well known for their software and how their different products have really kind of democratized professional filmmaking. Something really nice about this guy, it includes a gyroscope that just works seamlessly within the DaVinci Resolve software workflow. So of course, on any system, you can add an external gyroscope and add a couple of steps to get that all working, but having it built in and integrated with the DaVinci software, it really makes things easier for those who've chosen to live and work in the Blackmagic ecosystem. Look, I know the headline, why is it so cheap, is a bit clickbaity, but I really mean it. At $5,500, it's incredible value. Name me another full frame cinema camera at that kind of price, let alone something that does 8K or 12K. I'll wait. There just is nothing. At other cameras that have lower resolutions that offer similar kind of specification are routinely double, triple this kind of price. It really is quite spectacular. But as we're going to jump into, the modular design means that 5.5 is kind of your base starting point, and you're absolutely going to need to spend more money to get it shoot ready. It could be just a few extra $100 for a simple rig, or it could double the price of the kit if you really need to deck it out for a production. Next up, let's talk about a few things that are both strengths and weaknesses. I would have to say that the formats that they're using, as well as the file sizes, it's kind of a catch-22. On one hand, I want to say that the B-raw in this guy is really efficient, actually. You get quite good file sizes considering the resolution and the frame rates. If you compare it to ProRes or the different compression rates it has, I'll just flash on screen here for you. That's for a 5-second clip. So you can see the data can really rack up, but if you're using one of the more compressed B-raw options, it's certainly a lot more efficient than like ProRes. Having said that, the B-raw files on 12K are still huge. We spent like 4 or 5 hours shooting with Hana doing a dance thing, and just off this camera we came back with a terabyte of data. Think that's like $600 or $700 card completely filled, and you're going to quickly fill up an entire hard drive filming with this guy. So we back up onto hard drives, edit off of SSDs. You're going to need a serious data management plan to be able to work with the files that this guy creates. But in turn, you get great files with huge flexibility, so you can't have one without the other. It's great that this guy is giving you the 2 card slots and that you're able to make proxies, but just note, working off the proxies, if you're doing high frame rate video, it's not that smooth because the proxies aren't recorded as a lower quality high frames per second file. They're recorded at the base frames per second. So if you're slowing down your 120 frame clip to get a 4x slow-mo, playing off the proxies, you just get every 4th frame shown, and it can be a really jerky experience in the edit. Another strength and weakness is the modular design. For this kind of a camera, it's great that it's modular. It gives you so much flexibility that you can put a top handle, a side handle, build it out with all kinds of different plates to make it work just as you want, to use the different audio interfaces that you want. That's fantastic. The flip side of it is that you buy this and then you really can't start filming because you're going to need a top handle and maybe a side handle and a monitor and all of these things. The layout of it, having the screen on the side, we're going to talk about this a bit later, but it's helpful when you're on a crew set. But if you're trying to film by yourself, it means you absolutely need a screen for it. Also, you just have to factor in that having all of these fantastic mounting points is a plus, but you're going to have to allocate time to set up and pack up this guy, because putting all the different bits and pieces on, the time can really add up, and that's going to chew into your production times. Another negative, and again, all of these are just flip sides of positives, but high-res filming at crazy data rates, this thing is really power hungry. It's using BPU batteries, which I actually don't have, so we had to get this gigantic attachment unit to have that in and then be able to use V-mounts. And note that these batteries really are that long and even longer. To get a battery that has the same capacity as this, it's like this long or something like that. And on that, what were we getting? Like 1 hour of filming essentially. So 3 giant V-mount batteries, we're getting 3 hours worth of filming out of this guy. I'll also mention, it gets hot. When we've been testing this, it's been really mild in Hong Kong. Today's the first t-shirt weather day we've had filming with this guy, and the fan blows up. So if you're using a top handle, your hand genuinely gets quite hot from this guy if you're filming for, you know, an extended period of time. You're going to want to keep that in mind. Next off, it's great that this guy is featuring some autofocus, but just note there's no continuous autofocus. So my videographers have been having quite a challenge. We got this in an L mount, got a Sigma lens to be able to shoot with this guy, but having to continually manually focus, especially if I'm moving around, was becoming challenging. So shout out to Lauer, who sent us out a couple of their Ranger lenses as well as the 10mm 0D lens. We've been shooting with them. It certainly makes things easier, but as we're going to show in just a second, keeping up with a walking shot is quite difficult. So this kind of a lens is much easier if you're doing focus pulling, but if you really mess with your videographer, it's kind of impossible to keep up with your subject. I'm just being silly, but you can see if you're tracking something that's going to be moving around, using this kind of system as a one-man setup or even a two-man setup is going to be difficult. Hopefully at some point they're going to bring continuous autofocus to this camera. That would open it up to a much bigger audience. Another point, and again, if you're working with this kind of camera, maybe this won't be an issue for you, but this is really not that suited to a one-man job or running around doing guerrilla stuff like we often are with YouTube. Building it out, putting everything together, setting it up, it all takes time. To be honest, the startup time is pretty good comparing it to like the Red we've been filming with. It probably takes less than half the time. But given the manual focus and then potentially needing to adjust a variable ND and just the time it takes to build it all out and manually engage with it, it's better suited for a big production with a crew than a solo filmmaker. Having said that, the price point makes it really compelling for people who are in that transition phase and can't afford to get, an Ari or a Red or something like that. This is what your shot looks like if you're trying to shoot wide open without internal NDs. We're at 2.9 on the Ranger lens here. Let's just stop it down to f/22 so you can actually see me better. So at base raw ISO on this camera, 800, shutter angle 180 and T2.9 on a bright sunny day, we just can't get an exposure. Now, it's kind of unfair to criticize such a small camera for not having built-in NDs, but it is one of the things that's keeping the cost of this guy down. It's really handy to have on a cinema camera. So just keep in mind that you're going to need to either be stopping down to f/22, shooting at a really suboptimal shutter angle, or investing in a good variable ND, which is no big deal, but then manually focusing and adjusting variable NDs, it does make it all kind of a production. So this conclusion is being filmed on the PYXIS, and this kind of goes some way to telling you why you might want to get this. I'm heavily backlit, but we're able to bring it back thanks to that 16 stops of dynamic range. Let's directly answer the headline question though, why is it so cheap? Essentially because it's a bare bones solution. It's a kick-ass sensor with good throughput in a really stripped back package. It doesn't have any of those creature comforts like continuous autofocus or the other things we've mentioned. But if you want a fantastic sensor and great frame rates, it's a really nice option for you. It's just at a disruptive price point. Typically, you'd think this is going to be for one-man bands or people trying to do really small productions, but actually this is capable of doing so much more, but then you need the team. So I really do think it's fantastic value. You just have to make sure that the balance of features is going to match the kind of work that you're going to be doing. Let us know what you think of this guy. Thanks to Blackmagic for loaning it out. I hope the denoise AI can get rid of all this traffic noise nearby. I'll see you guys soon.